Hello and welcome to Scrapping on the Fly. My name is Kristen and I am here with day 8 of Follow a Sketch February. And this is through Scrapping Reflections on Facebook and State Goddess on YouTube, which is the same thing. So today's sketch is this 2-picture sketch from Brenda Ragsdale. And so I have a couple of pictures and have pulled out my Buenos Días collection. I have the 6x8 paper pad and it's still pretty full. I have this foil-on specialty paper, which I love, and I have some ideas for this for another layout, so I probably will not be using it, but I wanted to pull out all of my Buenos Días stuff. I have a plethora of loose papers. This is how I first started with some of the American Crafts designers. I went when they had a big sale at Joann Fabrics and bought a ton of these really pretty papers and fell in love with this collection, where my Vicki Boutin color study was bright, vibrant, bold rainbow colors. The Buenos Días collection was more of a pastel muted, and I knew that a lot of this would come in handy, especially because I work for a Spanish immersion school, and there's a lot of Spanish words and things integrated on like the word phrases and stuff. And so I knew that those could come in handy when scrapbooking my work life, because I love my job, so I scrapbook what goes on there. And then I also have this project pad. And the project pad has a 12x12 sticker sheet inside and some specialty papers as well. So I have only used a couple of things from here, so I definitely feel like this can get used. And then I have some scraps that I've kept together and the rest of my chipboard embellishments that I bought originally. So I'm really excited. I have a little baggie of some small scraps. So this is the collection I want to use. I will mostly be using things from here. I might pull in some other things, but this is the majority of what I want to use. And I have 3 pictures. This is going to be a separate page, but it's connected to this the storyline. So I will probably end up creating a layout with the Buenos Días collection as well for this layout. So, but that I'm going to set aside. And these are the 2 pictures that I'm going to scrapbook. And so I am excited to get these documented. So I have my pictures. I've got some paper and some embellishments. I have my sketch. So I am ready to go. So let's see how this goes. Well, this is going to go quickly because after editing all the flipping through and picking, it's down to like 13 minutes. So first thing I did was go through the paper pad and all my loose papers and pick what I wanted. So I picked the ombre effect for the background, and I had 2 long scraps that I decided I wanted to use as best as I could for the strips down the middle. And so I pulled all the different things and cut those into 2.5-inch strips, 2.5 by 10, I believe. And then I trimmed down my 2 pictures, and then I pull my papers back out so that I can get started. And at this time, I decided that I was going to actually do a 2-page layout and use the same sketch, but where there's only one picture for the other side, I was going to put a journaling card there for where the second picture is. So that is why I have 2 layouts, both in that ombre, almost like a, well, that one is blue and like an aqua color, and the other one is almost like a sherbet. And they're both really beautiful, and of course they go together because they're part of this all collection. So there are my different patterns, and each of those is the flip side of the other one. So except that one I just flipped over, which has the words on it, that will be used in a minute as banners on the front, but I wanted to use the background of that paper. So I just put some double-sided tape down, and pro tip, cut your paper to the length you want it before you tack it down on your page. I had to fight with mine, and I have finally got it to where I am happy with it, but it is not that I care to be perfect, but it is definitely would have been easier had I trimmed it to 10 inches or whatever length you want it before. See, I left it at 12 inches as I tack this down. Not smart. So, but there's a reason that my channel is scrapping on the fly. I don't always think everything all the way through, but it's fine. Every time turns out just lovely. So I get these these papers down, and I love all of this pastel colors. And this piece right here, I am going to fix, and you'll see me fix it to where I cut that off, flip it around, and the mat in the middle covers the gap. So that way I wasn't wasting paper, and I used up a scrap. So that makes me, absolutely happy. So I love using scraps up. I love to not waste my paper, especially paper like this that came from a collection that I love and I have almost dreaded using because I don't want to not have it, but I've got to just use it because I want it on a layout more than I want it in the drawer. It is not as beautiful in the drawer stacked up with all my other Buenos Días papers. So I have the exact same paper, this one with the almost like rainbows, the back side of those stars, and I've decided I'm going to do this, one side will be that pattern and one side will be the stars, and I put that rainbowy pattern as one of the stripes on the other side so it connects the pages, and I'm going to put some stars as embellishments on the other page to bring in the stars and that pink. I'll also bring some pink color in. So I'm flipping through the project pad because the two papers there don't stand out like I want them to. And there was not a page in there I wanted to not waste, but use like this. So I just matted them very thinly on a solid black cardstock. And I like the way that it makes them pop off the page because it is not, these muted tones. There was some dark, like teal colored papers in my pad that I could have used, but I just didn't want to use them that way. So I cut banners, and another tip, do not cut your banners too deep if you don't want them to come over to where you can see them on the paper. And it's hard to explain what I'm talking about, but I made the mistake when I made my first layout in this sketch with this design, and I cut my banner tail too deep, and so it was going to overlay with my that paper that they sit on top of, and I didn't like that. So I fixed it, but I did not make that mistake this time. I made a shallow cut with the banner, and I love the way these turned out. So I'm looking for something in this project or in this 6x8 paper pad that I can mat my pictures on. And I want it to be something kind of dark, or at least that will stand out against that very bright rainbowy color. So I get all of my papers matted on some mostly bluey colors, and then I find the journaling square, or rectangle, I guess I should say, that I want to use as my second picture on the second layout. And I picked this one that's got the stripes that match the little rainbow pattern colors, and I love it. But I go ahead and mat it on a blue floral, which is what my second picture, the one of my sons sitting down on the bench outside of Baskin-Robbins, is matted on. And that first picture is us in the car on our way to go to Baskin-Robbins, and so that's why I matted that paper, not that you can really tell on camera, on paper with that the old-timey cars. Not that we were in an old-timey car, but So I get the journal in this other picture down, and this is my son with his teacher from the year before, and she and I surprised him and met at Baskin-Robbins and didn't tell him that she was going to be there. So we got all of that. So after I get all of this stuff matted and placed down, I am reaching for my chipboards. And I want to try and use as many of these as possible. I definitely wanted to use ice cream cone because we were going to Baskin-Robbins. I wanted to use that car because it brings in the paper. Plus, like I said, we were in the car in that picture. I wanted to use the camera, and I decided as there's a little embellishment between the two pictures, at the bottom of the two pictures, and I decided I wanted to use this one little circle that says thank you as what I would use on the layout on the left, because the ice cream cone is going over there on the layout on the right as the little thing in the middle. The door just opened. That was my son coming looking for a snack, I would assume. So I put that card down there at the bottom, and then later changed my mind, and I pulled that up, and I was real careful because I don't want to tear my papers, but I ended up having to like rub off some extra adhesive, but that was fine. But it comes up pretty quick. If you don't leave it down for too long, the double-sided tape is usually okay, unless it's really thin paper. So I put that camera up there above the picture of my son and the ice cream cone over there, like I said. And I'm trying to decide where I want to put this phrase in that tag that says, remember this. And I want to try and figure out where I want to put those balloons. So I decided that remember this is going to be my title, which in the sketch is on the bottom right. So I am going to put that down over there. Look at me carefully taking that car off there. Oh, did a good job. So I just rubbed that off there, and I put the balloons down in that bottom corner. I put the title over there. I matted it on the blue polka dot paper that I used to mat the picture of me and my son in the car. I double matted that. And I put the word perfect is from the project pad. I used that as the title on the left layout, and pulled these stars out for the left layout as my clusters, and then use these little flowers as well as one star up in the top right hand corner of the right layout, because that is the general area that they have the clusters. So then I pull this little word phrase says smile, another one that I put down says fun, and the one I put over on the other side says together. I put a little heart on the picture on that right side as well. And then I pull out the not Muji pens that I thought were Muji pens when I bought them to do my journaling, and just journal about my son's teacher texting me and asking if we could meet and surprise Jameson. There's a gap in there because I didn't want to put her name in here. And so I will go and fill that out after all the pictures are taken. I go back into my project pad, pulled a couple more stars to put down underneath the word perfect. And then I feel really happy with this. So there's the sketch. I'm going to show you a layout I did earlier, just briefly, of my daughter as a narwhal with this layout. I like that layout. It's fun, but I really wanted to use these pictures because I'm starting my 2020 chronological book. So here are the close-ups for both of these layouts. I hope you all have enjoyed this, gotten something out of it, and I hope you all have a great day. And I also hope that you get a chance to do something that you love with someone you love. Happy scrapping.